Let's talk about security in Edo State. Ekpoma has been in the news, and across social media, very disturbing images, very disturbing stories about the insecurity in that part of Edo State. Now, there's even talks about heightened insecurity in Ekpoma and Auchi axis when it comes to kidnappings and killings. I did watch a video of a student who raised an alarm, asking for help from both the federal and the state government, saying, look, even examinations are difficult to go by. The other day, the community members had to lead a protest. Now, there were incidents of, I think, even shooting and killing are starting to be corrected. But the people are really worried. What exactly is going on in Ekpoma? What is the state government doing to curb insecurity? That's the conversation we'll be having right now. Let's bring in the convener, Esan Worldwide Community, Agbokan Osaraman. He joins us virtually. Mr. Agbokan, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Try to be audible. Try to be audible.
Mr. Osaraman, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, fantastic. We can hear you loud and clear. You know, we've seen a lot of videos. We've heard a lot of complaints about Ekpoma. It's almost like historical in that sense. But walk us through exactly what is the latest that is going on in that part of the town or the state. I did watch a video of a young lady who was saying they're literally scared for their lives to even go to write exam, that nobody can even go to night class in Ambrose Ali University right now because you may be kidnapped. People are being kidnapped and outrageous amount is being asked as ransom. We saw a video of, I think, one of the police officers, top police officers in the state in that area, raising concern about how the relationship between the police and the community, talking about if he leaves, somebody else will come and do the job. But walk us through what we do not know. But what we know for a fact is that there's crisis in that area, according to what is being reported.
All right. So, you see, before we actually talk about what is happening right now, we actually need to look at what has been happening or what has been happening there for quite some time. You see, we have this problem of insecurity because of some few factors we discovered. And one of such reasons why we feel this insecurity is really growing so wide is because of some Fulani herdsmen that are deep inside the forest. You see, some years back, we understand that these Fulani herdsmen, we allow them into our lands, and you see, they live just around the neighborhood. But right now, as we speak, deep down inside the forests, they have settlements, real large settlements where they have their kids. There are several times we go into these bushes, then we see them, okay, with their settlements. Now, this is one of the problems we are having in Esaland. Now, first and foremost, initially it started from Uromi. It started from Uromi. And right now we were able to water down that because of the way we were able to make a whole lot of publicity, and some of our vigilantes started acting on that. But right now, as we speak, there is high rate of kidnapping daily in Ekpoma. This is a trend. Yesterday, okay, after the protest, there was a protest. After the protest, we also heard that yesterday there was a kidnapping case yesterday, okay, in Ekpoma. Another kidnapping case again in Irwa. So these were two different cases just yesterday. So this is what it is. So this is what we are seeing right now.
All right, let me bring in Bogi Okiomai, who is a spokesperson to the governor of Edo State, Mr. Monday, Senator Monday Okpeblo. Bogi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Jeffrey.
So from the government end, what are you hearing and saying? Because the complaint is becoming very disturbing, very alarming. If you go across the social media, students, community members raising concern. There was even a massive protest that I think went south at some point. Maybe you also speak to that incident as well. What exactly is the government here? What does the government know as to what is causing this surge in insecurity, especially in Ekpoma, and maybe we can now add the Auchi axis of Edo State?
Thank you. Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning to you guys in the studio. Firstly, Governor Monday Okpebholo extends his sympathies, his support, his understanding to the people affected by this situation. It's really nothing new. It's something everybody's aware of. This is the fallout of the banditry situation that the country has been dealing with. I mean, generally. As they move from the north into the south, you all know that, most of our viewers know that the Okene-Lokoja axis is a very hot flashpoint for all this kidnapping, banditry, and all these other activities. Now, these guys move through the forest, and in the forest, it's not so easy to recognize boundaries. So we just have a group of people, a group of criminals in that location. They move to another location, the heat gets heavier, and they move to another location. So what we've seen is that in the last couple of months, in the last like 2 to 3 months, their activities seem to have moved towards the bushes that border around Ekpoma, Irwa, basically Edo Central. At the time, they used to be in Itrako East, that's their Gonebode axis. But I think the pressures on that area is pushing them towards that side now. So it's something everybody is aware of. A lot of effort has been put in to try and curtail the activities of these people, largely identifying their locations in the forest and dislodging them from where they are. So it's something the government has been on. I mean, the Governor Monday Okpebholo has been on with security agencies. They've been constantly on this issue. I mean, security is paramount to Governor Monday Okpebholo. I mean, without security, all of his lofty projects and ideas may not be able to be executed. Contractors won't be able to go to project site if there is no security. This is also situated within his senatorial district. So he has relatives in these areas. I mean, my brother just talked about an incident that they said happened around Irwa. That's the governor's axis. So it's priority for him, and a lot is being done. And the governor wants to assure everybody that in a very short while, this matter will be dealt with. Security issues are not really issues that can be discussed publicly like this, but there are serious strategies on ground. There are serious strategies in play that will be activated very soon. In fact, they've already been activated, but in a very short while, we'll see the effect. The solution is simple. Identify where they are in the forest and dislodge them from there. And
I'm glad
technology-driven strategies are being implemented, and very shortly we'll see these things come to an end.
I'm glad you mentioned the short while time and again, because the results are yet to be seen, and the videos we're seeing online, they are rather disturbing. Speaking of which, Mr. Osereme did mention, Fulani herders earlier on, and that's the narrative we're hearing repeatedly. In the latest video that has surfaced, we see youths chasing what would be herders and carting away their animals. Is this a sort of one-sided story or wrong narrative that is being pushed? Because when we see arrests being made or projections of those who are responsible for the killings, the kidnappings, and sometimes killings in Edo, they're not necessarily herders. I'd like Mr. Osereme to also answer that question, but first of all, let me put it through to Mr. Boogie. Talk to us about what intelligence is saying on the governor's table about, those who are perpetrating these attacks.
We'll be careful to give it, how do I put it now, to stereotype them. These are criminals. These are. We'll prefer to refer to them as bandits, and they can be any tribe. If you say Fulani herders, you are talking about Fulani people who herd cows. So we can't say all of them are criminals or all of them are involved in this criminality. So we might not choose to refer to them. We refer to them as what they are. They are criminals. They are bandits. Yes, intelligence shows that a number of them have northern extraction. But the truth is, when you're approaching security issues like that, you don't just, narrow down on one particular direction. You must be able to, cover all angles. We cannot rule out the fact that in some of these incidences, you also have local collaborators who probably point out people. And so the government will not want to stereotype the perpetrators. But of course, from intelligence, a number of them who have been caught are of northern extraction. But these are criminals and these are bandits. That's how the government would like to classify them as, so that we also don't put legitimate guests who stay in those states at danger.
Yeah, Mr. Seremi, I'd like you to respond to the same question and confirm that, that is what is happening in a part of Ekpoma in Edo State, where there's some form of animosity reportedly being demonstrated against people of northern extraction, particularly herders.
All right, thank you very much. You see, I always tell people for a very long time, for more than 2 years, we've been fighting this. And what we observe and what we've discovered is that this is not just Fulani issue. What we observe is there is an agenda, okay? There's an agenda. I don't want to put it out that it's an Islamization agenda, except you want to coin it that way. That some of the, like, if you go to so many states in Nigeria, you will see for yourself that these guys are taking lands. So the agenda is to take land. That is why if you go to deep down, I don't want to give other locations now because we're online. You go to deep down into some of our bushes in Uromi, in Ubiaja, you will see that these guys has their own. It's like a village. They have a village of their own that the villagers are not even aware of, or many of the villagers are not aware of. So though they are collaborating with some of the villagers, because I believe that some people are funding this. So I also believe that whatever we are seeing now is just little compared to what will happen if this is not combed. This is not about Edo State alone, which we have seen. It's about Nigeria in general. It's about what is coming to Nigeria if nothing is done. And there is no way this can be fought if the youth of the village, and when I mean the youth, I'm not talking about few vigilantes, I'm not talking about few policemen, I'm talking about the youth in general be involved in the security totally. This is only when we'll be able to solve this problem. But if we leave it to government actually do not have much to say in tackling it. Why am I saying it? Because there are infidel in the government as it is, in the government parastatals that will prevent the work from going on. So Okpewolo, which is the governor of Edo State, trying his best, but there are people that will sabotage this energy is putting in, so which will make it so futile. So till a large number of the youth come together to say we are stopping this, it is impossible to stop the insecurity anywhere in, whether it is anywhere, any state in Nigeria.
Let me take it to Boogie. Boogie, if you listen to him attentively, he's laid allegations about Islamization. His language from somebody who lives there and maybe understands the area a lot more than those of us who are speaking to you right now, feels like if nothing is done, there may be some level of anarchy. I know historically that the place can be notorious for a few things, but I also need you to respond to, on one hand, the community will be saying this is what we believe is going on, and these are the people responsible. On the other hand, the government is using tact and diplomacy. How would that help solve the problem? How do we meet? That's one question. The second question will be, there are concerns about issues around Yahoo boys, unscrupulous elements within the campus areas who are also perpetrating evil. I don't think there are industries there, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that they say there are a lot of Yahoo boys, a lot of cultist activities going on there. That in itself causes problems. So that is not an outsider problem. That is an insider problem. How is the government tackling that as well?
Thank you, Jeffrey. From what my brother described, I think he wasn't really referring to Islamization in the true sense of the word. Islamization is a deliberate attempt to convert people to a particular religion, by force, as it were. That's not what we have. What he has described is more of like land grabbing, coming into a place and taking land. Like I said, the solution is not far-fetched. Using superior technology, identify the locations where these people are, and dislodge them. That's it. So if that is the situation that has been described, then that will be solved. Nobody in government, I don't think there's anybody in Governor Monday Okpewolo's government that will be undermining the effort. The government needs security. If there's no security, projects cannot go on. The governor has ambitious plans for agriculture. has committed substantial resources to agriculture. If the people can go to the farms, that will not work. The governor has relatives who reside in this area. So the governor needs security, and everybody in government is keyed into that same idea that the governor has, that the governor is advancing. So everybody in Governor Monday Okpebholo's government is hands on deck to ensure that this is dealt with. So I don't think there are people in the government. What he probably is trying to say is that there are people who possibly collude in these things. They might not necessarily be government officials. And like I always say, really, sometimes you look inwards as well. It's easy for us to say, oh, they are Fulanis, they are headers, they are Northerners, they are...
Mr. Buggy, if I may come in, and my apologies.
They may be pointing out.
My apologies, Mr. Buggy, if I may come in.
Do you understand,
and this is a very sincere question, do you understand the level of pain the people are complaining about? Because you've talked about there's a plan, there's technology. How soon should they expect a solution? Because if you go online, you see that poster, Ekpoma is bleeding. The protest, that's what led to the protest, and all of these things that are happening. It sounds very easy right now as we're chatting, but the reality on ground looks different from what we've seen and heard.
There's a time for everything. No matter how hungry you are, you have to wait for food to be done for you to eat. You won't say because you are so hungry, you will eat half-cooked rice or uncooked rice. Strategic plans are being in place. We must understand Governor Monday Okpebholo's focus on security. Those states used to be in the news for one major reason in the past, one major security issue, and that was the cultism issue. Immediately he came in, that was the first issue that he addressed. In one fora, in some fora, he actually stated that he's coming to stop cultism is actually a divine instruction from God. And if you see all of the actions that he has taken that has successfully eliminated cultism within a couple of months, it shows that he's somebody who, if he's focused on an issue, he goes all out to solve it. I mean, as part of the efforts he took in stopping cultism in Edo State, he actually brought down the headquarters of one of the major organizations, that sometimes is fingered in things like this. So Governor Monday Okpebholo is very serious on security. The investment that have been made in the security, in security activities in Edo State already show close to 100 Hilux vehicles have been provided for security agencies, communication direct, high-tech equipment, support funding. The vigilante group has been retrained and, reinforced, bikes to patrol. So Governor Okpebholo is putting so much into security, but this particular security situation, when we make the heat too much for them in those states, you'll see that they will migrate inside the forest into another location. So what every state government is trying to do is to ensure that they don't find comfort in your bushes. And that's what we said, is being worked on. Amongst Governor Monday Okpebholo's closest advisors are retired security officers, retired generals, retired and serving security officers. I dare say, of course, without verifiable data, that, very few governors hold as much security meetings as Governor Monday Okpebholo does. Almost every day, the heads of security agencies in those states are in government house for one meeting or the other. So, people can rest assured that efforts are already on ground. It's unfortunate that there are things we cannot say on air because they are security, they are security-related issues. But plans and strategies have already been activated. Just on Friday here, the police, using some high-tech equipment, were able to rescue about 11 people who had been kidnapped. Of course, the criminals ran away before the police came, but they were able to rescue the people and rescue some of the weapons that they left behind. So we are gradually beginning to see those things, and when it takes full effect, it will produce results.
But Mr. Kwemo, in all of your answers, you haven't quite addressed a particular point that Mr. Osereme raised, and this is in reference to land that the locals are being dispossessed of. He particularly mentioned Ubiaja and Uromi. Is there any intelligence coming through to Governor Okpebholo's table to suggest that there's some form of land grabbing ongoing in Edo State where indigents are being dispossessed of their ancestral rights before this blows out and it becomes another plateau?
No, we don't have that situation. We all know the process. There's a process to owning land. You don't just say because you're on the land, you own the land. So that somebody settles on land and puts in it does not mean he owns the land. We have not received any reports of people being sent away from their lands and then people forcefully taking over. From what my brother described, in the forest and in the bushes, these people have probably settled and built colonies. Now, we know that that's also a way of life of the Fulani, the nomads who move around. They go to camp and they set up. What will happen ultimately, like I've said earlier on, is that when this security, activities starts and, gain ground, and through technology, we're able to locate where these camps are. Of course, ground forces will go in, and if they are legit, legal, settlements where there's proper engagement. In some of the situations, the community also some of these property for them. So in situations where these are legal, and all of that, but where we identify that these settlements, have been set up with criminal intentions, they definitely will be dislodged. So I don't think we have the situation where land is being taken from the natives. What we have is that in the bushes, they get to certain places and they camp there.
All right, let's take it to Mr. Sereme. Is Mr. Kwemo's answer satisfactory with regards to your reference to Biaja and Uromi, where villages are being, sort of set up by those whom you consider to be aliens? And in what areas specifically do you want government intervention to bring a definite end to this menace of kidnapping in Edo State?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the solution is simple, still not simple. If we must get, okay, let me start from what he said. He said that they are not taking lands, which is very, very true. But deep down inside so many of our villages, they are there. And they are not just there. They have kids, they have wives, they have families, which is something that is very, 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 very dangerous for the citizens, for the villagers, because from those bushes, they come out to attack. Now, I will not dispute the fact that we have our people with them. Sure, a lot of our youths are with them. Probably they are being enticed by the money and whatever. So when you see, say, courts people clashing in Ekpoma and all of us, some of these court boys are affiliated to them. So which makes it really very, very difficult, because when you have some of the villagers who are aiding and abetting in crime, this is a problem for the government. Now, this is what the government must do, and and they should start doing it now. Now, one of it is this: for anybody to reside in our villages, our bushes, there should be a kind of permit, and those people must be washed. That is one. Then two, they should prevent this. If you go to our villages and you see cows most of the times going around the whole village. Okay, but to some extent has reduced now. But that is another area the government need to look at, from preventing cows from gallivanting around the communities. Okay. Then another area again, the government should, if the government say we need youth to join in fighting this insecurity. Okay. And if they put this out, I bet you a whole lot of us are going to join them. I personally, I guarantee the government I will join them. Okay? So then another thing again the government needs to do to be able to comb this insecurity, apart from that I've just said, is that we need to make sure that these herdsmen that are inside, these Fulani herdsmen that are inside this, they should be, they kind of know who they are. Somebody will not just be living inside one place and you don't know who the person is. Many of them are real terrorists. If you go to Uromi now, for instance, Uromi now, there is a market they have in Uromi market. You go there, you see a lot of Fulani herdsmen. Okay, you don't know who they are. Trailers are bringing them into the land. Every single day, trailer load of terrorists or bandits or Fulani herdsmen are being shipped into the land. Now, when you bring these people into the land, and they are not, there is no job for them. So what is the next thing they need to do is to go into this banditry, this kidnapping. So I feel the government should look at a way, or look at this properly, on how to prevent these people from coming into the village.